everybody, Judy here. Welcome to Digital Outlook. Today we have a really special guest, and for David and I, it's not just a guest, he's our friend. And I'd like to welcome Jake Claver, the director of Digital Ascension Group, to Digital Outlook. And Jake, love having you on the show. You're not only are you someone that we admire in this space and we follow personally and we talk with you, but you're our friend, and we just love having you on the show. So thank you for coming and being on with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and it's always an honor to be here with you.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. I just love having interviews with you. So I wanted to start, Jake, a little bit different before we jump into XRP and where we're going in the market. I wanted to talk to you about the things that you say. I follow you on your shows.
Mhm.
And one thing that I love about you is that you're not just a speculator and you're not just a reader of X posts. Like you actually know this space. And there's a lot of OGs that are also like that we really admire and alike. But can you tell me, how do you know what you know? Because I know you're not just like guessing and, going with the wind. So before we get started, I want to establish, how do you know what you know and why do you say what you say? So go ahead. I'm going to let you
Yeah,
start there.
absolutely. It's a really good question, and there's probably a lot of people that don't know, you know, who I am or why I may have the things or the information that I have. So, just to give a little background and context, been in the space since 2020, so not that long, but we've been building things in this space and been involved
Mhm.
with multiple corporations and been to a lot of large events that are curated and invite only. So we've been to Swell the last 2 years,
Mhm.
met with Brad Garlinghouse and everybody on their team, this year at Swell, which was a privilege. Really enjoyed that. We also have a partnership with R3, and we're developing certain technology to be able to tokenize some private investments with them. And so because of that, and then, just high level clients that we have are nice enough to make certain introductions for us. We've had conversations with, three-letter agencies, with um, these large corporations, with other
Mhm.
financial institutions. We threw an event last year in September where we had Fidelity, Goldman, Bank of America, BNY, all of them attended and were, guests there watching us, host these family offices and showcase all of the professionals in this space that are doing it the right way. And then we've, curated services for people that are high net worth individuals that have a significant allocation, whatever that means to them, in digital assets, and provide all these services around that. So with that, we've talked to pretty much all the custodians
Mhm.
globally, including Hex Trust, Zodia, Archax. We have direct relationships with all these people. And so when I'm commenting on things, there's a lot of people out there that you mentioned, they just read X and guess about things.
Mhm.
I like hearing it from the horse's mouth and knowing what I'm talking about. And there's still some speculation, right? So there's still connecting the
Of
dots.
course.
I would say the majority of what I know, I've put together using critical thinking. So I have conversations with 30 different people and based on little nuggets of information that all of those people have given me. And I've been in sales a long time and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like I have a pretty decent gauge on EQ and people's
Hmm.
reactions when I say things. And sometimes I'll just say things to see what the reaction of these counterparties are. Um,
Hmm.
and oftentimes they get very quiet.
That's always a good
Um,
sign,
right.
actually. That's
Well,
a
if
good
it's
sign.
true, right?
Yeah.
So if I talk
Yeah.
about XRP, we also had we were partnered with PolySign when they had standard custody and trust underneath that before Ripple
Mhm.
made that acquisition. Um, talked to Jack McDonald. There's a lot of people in my cell phone that I can call that are good people that are highly involved with the space and actually
Mhm.
know what's going on behind the scenes. And again, it's not like there's been, we do have some NDAs, but I don't breach any of those and
Yeah.
try to respect, what people say in confidence. But I still want people to understand like there's a huge opportunity here, and I try to be transparent about that in the way that I, come with the information.
That's good. That's good, Jake, because I wanted people to understand that you're not just making this up as you go. And for David and I, you're someone that we truly do trust. And, we utilize your services as well. So I just wanted to put that out there for anyone who's wondering, well, who cares about what Jake Claver says? You should care what Jake Claver says, and you should follow him on his channel on YouTube. If you're not, like and subscribe, because he's got
Thank you, Jen.
really great um, chances for people to ask questions. And I really just enjoy watching it. I know you do it on Monday nights. I always catch the Monday night, but don't you do Monday, Wednesday, or something like that?
Most weeks we have at least Monday or Wednesday, and I
Okay.
try to do both nights each week. But with travel and everything else that we have going on,
And with
sometimes,
the weather that we just had last night, we
yeah, here
didn't
in
know we didn't know
Texas,
if we could even get our video up. So
yeah.
yeah. Well, we met you back in 2023,
Mhm.
and at the conference, one thing you said has stuck with me for these several years. You said if you own XRP, you're already rich. And I wanted you to expound on that. And now that you said that in 2023 and we're well into 2025, how much XRP do we need to become rich? What is your thoughts on that?
I think that's different for everybody, right? Everybody has different goals depending on what their vision for their life and their family is. I, I look at financial freedom or wealth as you have your expenses for your dream life. I would encourage people to write that down, whatever that is for you. Some people are a bit simpler than others, right? They just want a country home. They want to be off the grid. They want their wife and children to be taken care of. They want a private
Mhm.
school for their child. They want certain amenities. Maybe they want to travel. Maybe they want to give back to their church or their community. There's a lot of
Mhm.
things that people want to do that they don't quite have the funds for yet. So write all of that down, all of the things that you would love
That's
to do
good.
if you had the extra income, and figure out what that is on a monthly basis. For me to be able to do all the stuff, and this may sound flamboyant, but $50,000 a month would be about as much as I could figure out how to spend. You would be living a really good life if you're making, more than $500,000 a year. And for me, the financial freedom is you're making twice that amount from passive income. So you're putting your assets to work in a way where you may have some involvement. You might have to look over things on a regular basis, but you're not actively having to work and spend your time going somewhere and being under somebody else's thumb to make that money. And
Mhm.
so, for me, if I'm generating, and I'll just speak to my personal situation because I think that'll give people context. So I need $600,000 a year in income to live the life that I want to lead and make the contributions that I want to make. And so with
Mhm.
that, I would need 1.2 million each year in income from passive income for me to qualify that as wealthy. And again, that number's going to be very different for everybody. But at a
Is there an
modest
amount of
interest rate,
XRP that you need? Like you're
well, so I'm going
allocating?
to work back to that.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you've got, I think you'll be able to earn somewhere between 8 and 12% fairly easily on your XRP. We already have strategies that we're putting it to work and should be
Mhm.
generating even beyond that with the partners that we have. But conservatively, I think 10% a year is pretty reasonable, especially where interest rates are. So I would need about $12 million put to work earning 10% a year to reach my financial freedom or
Cool.
wealth number.
Mhm.
And so whatever you think XRP is going to go to, let's say it's going to go to $1,000 a piece. You would need, 12,000 XRP at $1,000 a piece to have $12 million to be able to put
Mhm.
that to work and earn that type of interest and lead that lifestyle.
So
So
what if you didn't have like what if the average person on our channel is like, wow, that's like so much. I could never have that. If you if you lower it down to like an average person,
mhm.
what would you say that they may need to be able to have like life-changing wealth or be able to really have a good lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, if you're living in middle America, we're here in Texas. The cost of living
Hmm.
here is fairly low in comparison to the rest of the nation. But if you're out in Colorado, or Arkansas or Oklahoma, you might be able to live really well on $300,000 a year, right?
Hmm.
So for my deal there, it would only be like 6,000 XRP, right?
Right. That's
And
good.
obviously the price is up now in comparison to where it was back in 2023, and so it's a little bit harder
Yeah.
to
To
obtain
get,
that
yeah.
much XRP.
Hmm.
But to be in the top 10% of holders, you need 3,300 XRP, right? So a little
Yeah.
over close to $8,000 invested in XRP today. And over the long term, like imagine buying Bitcoin at $2.
Yeah.
That's what I
Oh my
think you have for
gosh.
the opportunity here with XRP. I
Right.
think you're going to see six digits at some point over the next 5 years, if it is implemented at scale for the global derivatives market and some of the other use cases that I know it will
Mm-hmm.
be. Then it's a waiting game in reality, and
Right.
you're going to have to be patient if you weren't able to accumulate during the bear market like a lot of people were, and maybe you're a little bit late to the game, and that's okay. You still have the opportunity now.
Mm-hmm.
Not financial advice, I have to say that. So no
Yes, of
financial
course.
advice, only for entertainment and educational purposes only.
That's
Always
right.
speak with your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. And if you want one that knows about crypto, you can work with us, Digital Wealth Partners. We have an SEC registered RIA, and they can tell you to buy XRP, but I can't.
That's right. Let's keep in our lane, Jake.
Yeah.
No, that's good. So thank you for that, because that kind of gives us just an idea of people dollar cost averaging to continue to keep doing it,
Mhm.
especially on the dips. Don't whine. David says, dips are for buying, not for crying. So
That's
I
a
know he
great
didn't coin
mantra.
that phrase, but but he says it anyway. So what do you think, Jake, is happening in the markets right now? Because it's just all over the place now with Trump's announcement, and then he has another one coming tonight, and then another conference, the summit on Friday.
Yeah,
Like,
Friday.
what are your thoughts on that?
I
Where are we
think,
going? What's happening?
yeah, I mean, we've had all the lawsuits dropped except for the Ripple case at this point,
Hmm.
right? So Trump's been in, about a month and a half, like something like 40, 45 days here. And the first 100 days are supposed to be the biggest changes. He wasn't going to waste any time doing things. And so now that Gary's been removed from the SEC day one, we've seen
Yay.
them walk back all of the cases pretty
Hmm.
much except for Ripple, that they were doing regulation by enforcement. And so we also saw the removal of the broker rule this morning. I don't know if you caught that or not, but
I
they
haven't.
were going to make
Yeah.
liquidity pools required to register as a broker dealer. And now they've walked that back. So I think that
Nice.
we're right on the precipice of either a settlement of the Ripple case for the 125 million that they were going to take from Ripple, or they
Hmm.
may just dismiss the case in total, and allow them to operate freely here in the U.S. unencumbered. I think that that's going to be the
Nice.
outcome either way, but
Right.
irrespective, I think that we're very close, and I think you're starting to see people jump in big ways because they realize that's coming. We saw a spike this morning on the chart, and then it came back
Hmm.
down, and we saw a huge spike Saturday or Sunday when Trump made their announcement about the strategic reserve, and then it came back down. So I
Hmm.
think the forces that be, maybe Ripple and a few others, are still trying to quell this down a little bit and not make it shine until it's really ready, which I think
Hmm.
is pretty imminent here in the near future.
It's getting harder to do that because more people are
Yeah,
becoming aware of it, and I think Trump talking about it too,
huge,
puts it in the
huge.
forefront. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's huge. And what do you say to the people who are panicking about and complaining? Like on our channel, we have the whiners, oh XRP, blah, blah. We're like delete,
Yeah,
stop, don't cause FUD on our channel. But yeah, what do you
I
say about those people that are like panicking about the price dropping? It's time to buy that. It's an opportunity, right?
if you're emotional, this
Mm,
asset class probably isn't for you.
true.
It's extremely volatile, and that's
Hmm.
also where you get the get rich quick piece, right? And people forget that. It's hard to stomach watching your portfolio drop 30, 40, 50% in a day, but it's really fun when you watch it go up 100 or 200% in an hour, 2 hours.
Exactly. Yes,
So you
yes.
you have to be able to maintain a really even kill, and know that you're invested in this asset class over the long term. These are investments that people should be making here. It shouldn't be, I got to pay my rent this month and I'm kind of trying to invest this to get a quick flip. I would look at this more as a long term deal. Allocate what you can that you're not afraid of losing.
Right.
Look at it as a retirement fund that you're going to need 5 to 10 years from now. And if that's your perspective on it, you're not overly concerned about the daily volatility. You may not even be looking
Mhm.
at it. Like kind of a set and forget mentality is what I think a lot of
Yes.
people have been successful with.
Hmm.
If you look at the stock accounts that are currently the highest value for individuals, it's people that are dead. So they've just sat it there. There was no beneficiaries attached, and it continues up into the right over the long term. The
Mm.
personal emotion is what causes most people to lose money in a market. And you're not ever going to pick the top and you're not ever going to pick the
That's
bottom. You might
right.
get lucky every once in a while. And there may be
Mm-hmm.
people out there on the TA that call it, that's not me, that's not my game. And
Mm-hmm.
for most people, I would say, 99% of traders lose money. Uh, there are very few people that actually control
Yeah.
markets and move liquidity and have um, groups of people, especially in crypto, that are in the meme coin market that can actually move liquidity in, and you're going to get rugged.
Mm-hmm.
So the best bet here is just stay steady, believe in the long-term utility of whatever you're investing in, whether it's a company or a digital asset, and kind of set and forget and just think about, 5, 10 years from now, I'll be able to park
Mm-hmm.
this somewhere, earn that interest, and then live the life that I want to, no longer having to work that 9 to 5.
Yeah, I think that's a really wise way to look at it because I think we get emotional and we watch it daily and it's, oh no, it's up, it's down. And people pop in, they pop out, and it's just,
Mhm.
they lose the perspective of the big game. And I think maybe depending on your age too, it makes a difference. But
For sure.
for the long run, I know David's mom's invested and, she's a senior, she's retired. I have a good friend that's a senior, retired, and they're just like, you know what? We're just going to wait and see what happens. They're not being emotional because I think that's where you get wrecked.
Oh yeah.
And I think that, just slow and steady and quit using it's not a slot machine. It's not Vegas. And if you're using it as Vegas, you're going to lose 100% every time. So,
Yeah. It's the people that hold over the long term, dollar cost average, that has been
hmm
the most, irrespective of, whatever investment it is, whether that's stocks or digital assets or even real
true.
estate. If you're able to
hmm
accumulate over the long term and the
hmm
dollar is depreciating, which we're all aware of at this point, assets are
Yes.
going to continue to grow in value in opposition to that. And
hmm
you're setting yourself up for success. So,
Right. And speaking on that, when crypto starts to pump, something else has to go down.
well, the
And
liquidity is coming from somewhere,
exactly.
right?
Explain that a little bit just for people to understand because I think people just think, you know, Trump is like great. We love Trump, obviously, but I think that everyone thinks that he's, going to save the whole world, and I think that people don't realize that, that there's still volatility and that the
For sure.
dollar's not in a really great spot and he's trying to save the
Yeah,
whole
tariffs and
system the
some of the
best he
other
can.
stuff.
Explain a little bit what your perspective is on that.
Yeah, so I'm a student of global macroeconomics. I watch, 40 plus people on a regular basis, and that's what allows me to put together, my view on
Mm.
what's happening globally and how to position our clients in the best manner to mitigate risk and also see the upside.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I said, the liquidity's got to come from somewhere. So we saw the ETFs as an example launched for Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a bunch of traditional money that moved into accounts where people allocated that to the ETF, and the ETF has to buy the BTC, which is
Mm-hmm.
a spot ETF. So they have to actually accumulate Bitcoin as a representation of value for whatever they're trading, the derivative. So that money flowed into Bitcoin. And we
Where did
saw
it come from, Jake? Where do you think it came from? Just their bank account
401ks.
sitting there, or was it stocks or
Yes. So these wealth managers, they have clients that wanted exposure to this asset class, and once they had a product to be able to offer them, you
hmm
can buy that in your 401k, you can buy it in your IRA, you can buy it in your non-qualified account if you're trading stocks
hmm
with a broker. So all of
right.
the institutions, and now we've got pension funds, we have sovereign wealth funds, we have state treasuries and other large corporations that are taking a piece of their balance sheet and buying some Bitcoin to hold it on
hmm
there as a hedge or an investment, however they're looking at it. So that's where that money's coming from. It's coming from traditional places where it was allocated somewhere else, and they're
hmm
using a small piece of that and moving it into this market. And we really haven't seen much liquidity move in yet. Like I know that there's a lot of volatility here, and the asset
hmm
class is worth $3 trillion, but
Right.
the stock market, just kind of for perception here, is $600 trillion. So it's 200 times larger than the crypto
hmm
market. And all of that, all of those assets, the FX market, all of these other markets are going to end up being tokenized and moved onto these networks. So crypto will literally eat the world. So the total market cap of crypto eventually will be quadrillions of dollars.
hmm
And if you're here now while it's 3 trillion, you're probably in for some
Imagine.
pretty significant upside.
Yay. No, that's good. I mean, we're talking about Bitcoin ETFs, and I
Mhm.
know, there's been some applications for
Yep.
XRP ETFs, but I
17.
wanted, yeah, pardon me?
17.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that many already.
Yeah.
Okay. When do you think when do you think it might go through? Once the lawsuit's settled? Do you think they're
I think
waiting for that?
I think so. And I think the reason behind that, so the SEC has to approve the S1s, which are the
Hmm.
form that people file as an application for their ETF to be able to offer to their clients.
Okay.
They've recognized a bunch of those, which means they have like 45 days to either deny or approve those ETFs. And that clock started back in February. April 1st is kind of the deadline for them to make those decisions. So here in March, it's very likely that we are going to see at some point either the
Hmm.
denial of those if they don't drop the lawsuit, or
Right.
like I mentioned earlier, it's literally the last enforcement case that the SEC has at this point. They had almost 30 or 40 open cases that they have just settled or they have dismissed at this point, and we're
Hmm.
down to the last one here. It's pretty much the biggest one in crypto. So I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, here on the short term time horizon, maybe even the next 30 days, we would see a dismissal or settlement of that case, and then almost immediately after S1's approved and those ETFs go live.
And then I mean, XRP is gonna rip.
The amount of liquidity that will move into, well, and so here's the other piece of that. You might think that they would approve some and not others, but we
Mm,
didn't see that with the Bitcoin or the Ethereum ETFs. When they approved one, they approved them all in
all
order
of
to not
them.
show
Yeah.
favoritism. So if they just
Right.
approve BlackRock, they kind of have a monopoly, right? And so I think when once you see BlackRock throw their hat in the ring, you're immediately going to get the approval for all, I think, 18 or 19 ETFs that'll be filed at that point, and we'll see
Nice.
mountains of liquidity from the traditional sector move into XRP.
That's nice. What do you think's going to happen on this Friday meeting with the crypto summit?
So we'll see. I might be able to go. We've had a few people mention that they have some tickets that they might be able to
Wow.
pass me. I will keep you guys updated if that's
I want you back on the show.
report live,
Okay, good. We're all going to
so
watch then. That's awesome.
do the Ray Fuentes.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right. We
so
love you, Ray.
love you mucho, Ray. Yeah.
That's right.
So I don't know. I obviously this is a big deal for
Something
this
big, right?
administration.
Something big's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, they still have some time for the working committee to decide on the reserve and which assets are going to be in there, but it seems pretty apparent at this point that, I mean, Trump tweeted Sol, ADA, and XRP. Sol actually is a Swiss um, company, so it's not an
Oh.
American-based crypto.
Hmm.
ADA is American based. It's
Right.
here in Wyoming. Charles Hoskinson founded that. He's done a lot
Mm-hmm.
for crypto up there. We met him last year at Rare Evo in Las Vegas. They
Nice.
sponsored that event, met with his family office. So that's, kind of to go back to the previous conversation. I've met with all these people and like shook their hand, looked them in the eye, had
Yeah.
an actual
Had a
conversation.
conversation with him. It wasn't just,
Um,
yeah.
and so yeah, I think they could potentially announce the main contenders that they're looking at for the crypto reserve, and I think there's a potential. We've seen a lot of ETF filings. I don't think Cardano has one, but we do have Sol. We've got all those for XRP. We've got Doge. It wouldn't surprise me to see Doge in
Right.
the reserve at this point with Elon
I was
on
going to
board.
ask you, what other cryptos do you think that could be in, like H bar, XDC? Do you think any of those would make it in? XLM? Because, like, where's
HBAR,
XLM in all this?
yeah, HBAR for sure. So they're domiciled here in Dallas with me,
Nice.
Mance and his team. Obviously, they were at the crypto ball. You saw a picture of Brad Garlinghouse with Mance
Mm-hmm.
there, and Lehman. They just had a conference at ETH Denver as well, where they spoke and talked about the tokenized real world assets that they're moving on
Yeah.
chain. Um, XLM, I think, is a big player, and I think
Yeah.
it's likely that it'll get included. It's an American-based crypto. Jed
Mm-hmm.
McCaleb split off from Ripple and founded that
Ripple.
company, and it is domiciled here domestic as well. I think it's going to be American-based cryptos, and Trump, stated that
Right.
he may make all American-based cryptos tax-free. Um,
Wow.
for capital gains, which would be huge for
Huge.
us. And that's the other thing.
Yeah.
You would see people move mountains of liquidity from other investments into crypto
A
because of
hundred
tax benefits.
percent. Oh my gosh, yes. What do
Um,
you think about XDC? It's kind of like a quiet one, but it's an X one, and a lot of
yeah,
people are talking about that one.
I really like XDC. I've
I
met
do
Atul and
too.
Ritesh. I spoke at their offices in Dubai last year in February. We were part of the USA UE alliance, trying to incentivize, tokenization of trade and investment between the Middle East and the US.
Mhm.
Um, they're domiciled in Dubai.
So maybe
It
not
looks like
then.
they're working on getting a presence here in the U.S. in New York. So
Okay.
I think that they, a tool I know is working on that. So hopefully they get that done in time, and they do have a presence here and can move their headquarters, to the U.S. and get that
Hmm.
same designation and benefit. And I think they
Nice.
will. I think
Yeah.
they're interoperable with Corda and R3 as a settlement token. And in the conversations with them early on, we talked about building on one network or another for the smart contracts and stuff we were looking at, and we chose their infrastructure with Corda. But we asked them, which settlement token should we be looking at to create, between counterparties if we go to secondary markets. And they said, well, it's got to have regulatory clarity here in the U.S. and it has to have enough liquidity in it.
Hmm.
And Bitcoin and XRP are the only two things with regulatory clarity here in the US.
Exactly.
So
Yep. Hmm.
maybe, I don't know if Bitcoin ends up in the strategic reserve or not. Is it American based crypto? If it's a decentralized
How do we
commodity,
know, right? Who's Satoshi? How do we know, right? Where is it? Who's going to be at the CEO meeting on Friday representing Bitcoin? You
there's,
know, the
Saylor came
CIA,
out.
like who? Like who's going
Well,
to be
maybe the
there?
NSA, yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, I mean, Saylor came out on MSNBC yesterday and kind of capitulated on that whole deal. So, yeah,
Backpedal.
backpedaling. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that there's a potential situation where, Trump could, we'll see, make it where just like he's incentivizing people to use domestic products through the tariffs,
Hmm.
um, maybe he poses a tax on any non-US based cryptos that's in addition to the original capital gains, and then provides no capital gains on American based cryptos. And that would really incentivize
People
liquidity
to come
moving away
here.
from Ethereum and Bitcoin
Yeah.
and any international, currencies to American based
Hmm.
networks and protocols.
Well, don't you feel like with the thing that with the tariffs that he's doing, as well as if XDC's based in Dubai for $5 million, which is nothing for them, they could just come and open up business here,
Well,
and
and
it's
that
like
would
no big deal. And now they're getting all the benefits of America, and
Well,
it's not a
other
big deal
countries
for
do
them.
this. Other countries allow for citizenship. You can pay your way into Malta. You can pay
Mm-hmm.
your way into Portugal. You can pay your way
Mm-hmm.
into Dubai there in the Middle East and
Yep.
UAE.
Mm-hmm.
You buy a property or, make a donation to the government of a certain size, and they give you a golden visa for a certain period.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't look at that as bad, right? If you're going to provide economic benefit and you want to come do business here, if you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
pay for, what was it? They need to sell 30,000 um, there was 300,000 golden visas to international parties at $5 million a piece, solves our
Mm-hmm.
national debt, you know.
Yeah, that's right. And
Um,
there's a lot of applications. I think I read on X, there's already 200,000 that have applied or something crazy like that. And I'm
there's
thinking people in Dubai are wealthy. There's people all around the world. And to come
China,
here for
like,
it's $5 million for them, that is nothing. And of course, they could establish everything, get the American tax
mhm,
benefits and
mhm,
stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting, I think, Jake, to see where it's all going. And because on our channel, I'm sure you too, you get a lot of questions about those
yeah,
same cryptos,
for
and
sure. Well,
so
they're the ones that have the opportunity, right? And I think
yeah.
people they see that they missed the boat on Bitcoin and Ethereum. I would have loved to have been in 2010, 2011,
Oh,
2012,
yeah.
right? I didn't know about it. And I
We
didn't.
did. I had David has a whole show about that. I told him to get in, but he did, and he's like, "She'll
Oh,
never let
no.
me
Well,
forget about it." He's like, "No, no, it's for checks, cheats. We can't get involved in that." Working for the Canadian government at the time, I'm
Well,
like,
I understand
"Oh,
that for David,
I
but
know."
so you look at that and you're like, okay, well, I
Yeah.
missed that one. Which one there's going to be more, right?
Yes.
But I look at Bitcoin and Ethereum like the Napster um
Mhm.
of this
The
market. They're the
originals,
first
but
movers, they're the disruptors, but
hmm.
they're not the Apple, they're not the Spotify,
Yep.
they're not the long-term winners, and the
Yeah.
technology is outdated. right?
It is
250-bit
outdated. Yeah.
encryption can actually be hacked by a supercomputer at this point. People could hack Bitcoin if they wanted to. And that's going to
Mm,
be an unpopular thing I'm going to say on here, and people
yeah.
will be grumpy about that. But it's the truth. And they don't
Hmm.
do it because they need it to
Hmm.
persist until I think they're going to use, repurpose that global compute for an AI or something else. We'll see if that plays out. But
Right. Well,
um,
didn't they say too that like I heard someone say that Bitcoin is kind of like the forerunner and then XRP came along to figure out, oh, this is all bad. Well,
fix
we'll
all
fix
the
it,
gaps.
right?
Yeah.
We'll fix the problems through XRP. Thank you, Bitcoin, but we have
Well,
to
and
do something different because we can't use you as a liquidity thing on a daily
well,
basis and hourly.
there's if it was peer-to-peer cash transfer, so Bitcoin Cash operates that way. They expanded the block size, they forked the network in 2014 and decided not to expand the block size for Bitcoin and
Mm,
basically siloed it as digital gold at that point. It
right.
really encumbered the ability of it to move fast and cheap when they decided to go that direction.
Hmm.
And so, XRP was, created in 2012 as, like you said, a second generation, better Bitcoin. And I think people would be surprised. I think it'll come out eventually, but I think a lot of the people that were involved with Bitcoin's creation probably also involved with
Mm.
XRP's creation.
Hmm. And XLM is in there too. Wouldn't you say
Yeah.
that
Well, so
it's
Jed, again, he was one of the,
he was part of it? Yeah.
mhm.
Oh, good, good. Well, as we wrap up, I want to just talk to you a little bit about, can you explain to our audience the difference between, you talked about this a little bit last night, but for those who didn't watch your live stream, the difference between wealth creation and wealth management and how then your company can
Services.
help them. Yeah.
Sure. Um, so I think I gave the same analogy at XRP Vegas when I said,
Good. Do it again. It was so good.
if you have XRP today, you're already rich.
Hmm.
Um, it'll be a tier one asset. Like I don't know how to impress upon people. Again, not financial advice, but the opportunity to acquire this at the prices it is today is just absurd. So
Hmm.
most people generate wealth through concentration. They plant a seed, they water it, they grow a business, they focus on an investment, they do something consistently over an extended period of time that has a compounding effect that grows a trunk of a tree, and that is the core of your wealth creation, right? You grow this large tree, and once it's grown, it spreads out. Right? It has branches that go into different parts. So if one part of the tree dies or has a problem or has a fungus, the other part's okay. Like the tree's going to live on. And so that's how I think about wealth creation and wealth management. You want to grow quickly and you want to be siloed in one vertical and understand that area. But once you're up and you're large and you do have the money, you want to be able to mitigate risk of loss at that point. So we do a lot of the estate planning to help with that. And then we
Hmm.
also do diversification across your portfolio and provide ways to be able to borrow against your XRP to then deploy that capital into other sectors of the economy to have
Hmm.
uncorrelated risk. We also take other advisors, or not other advisors, but funds, people that run specific strategies, and we work with them to become a sub advisor in our hedge fund. They have track records that are at least 5 to 6 years long, that have proven strategies and limited downside, so they're market neutral. They're never going to be 100% return or 1,000% return, but they're going to be a consistent 20 to 40% per year. It's
Hmm.
cash flow or growth on your portfolio that's outpacing inflation. You're getting real returns by putting your money to work that way. And then,
What's the amounts like for like the it can
yeah,
the little guy, I mean, is it you have to have more than 10,000 XRP or because as the price goes up, you don't need as much, right? I mean,
right.
right now you might need, let's say, 100,000, but as the price goes up, that goes down.
Yeah, it
Like
goes down. So it's a really good question. So
just to
we've,
help the people because I know we have a lot of people that are just getting in and they're not
yeah,
sure. And so,
we
yeah.
we've we work with family offices, so we're a multifamily office. We consult with 9 of those. Those are people that have somewhere between 50 and 100 million or more under management. So they've accumulated wealth already, and we help them navigate digital assets and provide services around that. We do have an SEC registered RIA, and we do take on smaller clients than the family offices we consult for. The current limits that we have in place are 100,000 XRP or $500,000 invested in digital assets, and that can be across multiple assets. It doesn't have to just
Okay.
be XRP. We're
Mm-hmm.
continuing to expand those services to other assets. We're bringing on XLM by the end of this month. We'll be able to hold HBAR and XDC by the end of
Okay.
Q2. And we'll continue to add to the breadth of the stuff that we're able to support. Have Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and Chainlink and a lot of the other popular ones out
Right.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say we don't want to serve the little guy. I want to help the little guy. There's a
We do
lot of people in
too.
our mastermind group and other stuff that we do that, have just got into this space. They've just learned about it. We want to provide them an avenue to be able to continue their journey. So that's probably the best,
Okay.
avenue that we can support them in is inside the master. $25 a month, super cheap over there. Obviously, you guys do the coaching. I think that y'all provide financial
Mm-hmm.
coaching on
Yep.
on digital
Mm-hmm.
assets,
Mm-hmm.
and provide a great breadth of knowledge there to help people that may not quite be to the level that we could provide the additional services for.
Mm-hmm.
But as the assets appreciate, let's say you have 5,000 XRP and it goes to $100 a piece. Well, there you are. You're at that $500,000 minimum, right?
And
And
that's
now,
where they need to understand that today you might not have that, but as the
right,
price increases, you have to have a plan in place. And that's what David really super, emphasizes in his channel and in his coaching is you must have a plan in place. It's not Vegas. It's not like, "Ooh, I'm all this wealthy." It's not the lottery where you win and then you just and
well, a
then you
lot of
lose it all. You want to keep it, you want to grow it. If you're in your 20s and 30s or 40s, even seniors, you want to keep it, you want to enjoy it, and you want it to continue to make you money. And I think that that's what a lot of people aren't quite getting yet. They're looking at it like it's a slot machine, and we're trying to help them. So if you're
understand
watching
that
this and you
there's
don't have a lot of XRP 100,000, which I know a lot of you don't, of course, but don't despise just saying, well, I don't need to know anything. I'm just going to save it for 25 years and just let it. No, get a plan in place. And I really would encourage you to either join David's coaching program or, do his coaching or get involved with Jake's mastermind group. For $25, it's an investment. Isn't that a tax write-off too?
Mhm.
Like if
Yeah.
you sell
Well,
your
if you have a
crypto,
company, right? So we encourage
oh,
people to set up an LLC for
how
their
much do you
digital.
have to have to do an LLC?
We'll do it for anybody, but my recommendation is, north of 50 to $80,000 invested. That's when the cost of benefit starts to make sense. And until
Okay.
you're at that point, again, just dollar cost averaging.
Right. And just do the mastermind class. That would be the
Yeah.
best because there's so much information in the mastermind that they can ask questions,
We'll
they can talk to other people in the
mhm.
same,
Might be a
bubble
few
of
steps ahead of you. And they've been there, done
yeah.
that, and their
Um,
assets. Maybe they got in 6 months before you did, before prices went up,
right.
right? And they have,
Mhm.
a little bit more than you, and
Right.
they've been through that process, and you can see what that's like and where you want to head and how to
Mhm.
plan for yourself. And we provide, a lot of financial
That's
education
good.
there in that group.
Good.
Business resources. We provide the ability to get in on private investments that you're not going to get anywhere else.
Mhm.
Um, so try to
So it's a
provide.
class. It's for
Yes.
$25. You're getting an education,
Yep.
regardless if you have 10,000 XRP or 100,000. You can learn from being in this mastermind class. Isn't that
Absolutely.
true?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
good. Good, good. And so, guys, if you're out there and you're watching, you made it to the end of the video, Jake and I and David, we encourage you to join Jake's mastermind class. Jump in maybe for, a few
Coaching.
more
Yeah.
bucks. You can do David's coaching class or take his thing and talk with him one on one, ask questions, but get a plan. Don't just sit there and ride the wave like this of emotion. You've got to have a plan. Well,
Yeah.
Jake, wow, you're just always so full of information, and I'm so excited to hear what's coming down the pike this week, tonight, Friday, and we're really looking forward to all the good things that this space has. And I just want to thank you on behalf of David and I. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
joining me in this in our little chat. It's not a coffee chat, it's just a Judy chat.
Well, I always enjoy it being on here. You're always so nice and ask really good questions. And I think it's valuable for people, what you guys provide in the space and the education that you and Dave do. And just love to support you guys any way that I can.
Oh, well, thank you, Jake. We appreciate it. We really do want everyone to be a part, whether they own 5,000 XRP, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, whatever. We want everyone to win in this space. And it's so volatile right now, and you need some stability. And that's what we're bringing people on our channel like yourself that bring stability to the space and give clear instructions and encouragement. So thank you, Jake, so much. I'm looking at the weather. It's pretty crazy up here. I don't know. I don't know if it's
Same,
coming your way, but it is. It's kind of dark outside. But thank you so much for coming, and I bless you, and we will talk again soon.
same, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye now.